Feeling the heat of the climate summit. Royce and I talk rock and roll and your market recap on this edition of Arbitrage State of the Bands Weekend, starting right now. Hello and welcome to Arbitrage State of the Bands Weekend for September 2019. I'm Joshua Stark. Saying humanity is waging war with the planet, the head of the United Nations isn't planning to just let any world leader speak about climate change at Monday's Special Action Summit. Only those with new, specific, and bold plans can command the podium and the ever-warming world's attention, Secretary General Antonio Guterres said. So sit down, Brazil. Sit down, Saudi Arabia. Sit down, Poland. People can only speak if they come with positive steps. That's kind of a ticket, Guterres said. For bad news, don't come. As if to underscore the seriousness of the problem, the UN's Weather Organization released a science report Sunday showing that in the last several years, warming, sea level rise, and carbon pollution have all accelerated. Up next, more news on your Arbitrage Trade State of the Bands Weekend, right after this.
We're all doing a lot. A lot of swiping, streaming, scrolling, double tapping, and social media stalking. A whole lot of nothing. You're probably scrolling right now. While we think a certain red heart is giving us life, we're neglecting the one that actually does. So let's take a stand against sitting. Let's care more about strolling than scrolling. Let's take charge of our health. Let's make moves together, starting now. Now.
If getting the most out of your investment is important to you, then beware of cheap entertainment when planning your next party. Omega Sound and Entertainment is a Hall of Fame mobile DJ company that travels the country, specializing in once-in-a-lifetime events from weddings and private parties to corporate events and more. For your once-in-a-lifetime event, invest wisely. Invest where the search for premier entertainment ends. Omega Sound and Entertainment. Online at OmegaSoundDJs.com or Omega Sound DJs on Instagram.
Well, back in '98, when I went out at AC Sparkplug on strike with Chevy Metal Fab, behind me, our motto then was one day longer, and that's what we're going to be. We're going to hold out one day longer.
And we're still looking for an expanded relationship and for things to continue. And the strike happened. And it's been different. It's been some mixed emotions here.
Everyone is weaker now compared to 1998. The company, the city, and even the statewide economy.
City's coming up, but it needs a lot of help. And that's where the people that are working in these plants help out the city. And it's important to keep a city like this, keep these plants here.
If U.S. consumers ever ditch fuel burners for electric vehicles, then the United Auto Workers Union is in trouble. Gone would be thousands of jobs at engine and transmission plants across the industrial Midwest, replaced by smaller workforces at squeaky clean, mostly automated factories that mix up chemicals to make batteries. The union is keenly aware of this possibility as it negotiates for the future as much as the present in the contract talks with General Motors. Meanwhile, more than 49,000 union workers are on strike against the company and have shut down its factories. GM CEO Mary Barra has promised an all-electric future, with the company going through a painful restructuring to raise cash in part to develop 20 electric models that it plans to sell worldwide by 2023. In the contract talks, GM has offered to build an electric vehicle battery factory in Lordstown, Ohio, where the company is closing an assembly plant. The automaker, according to a person briefed on the offer, wants the plant to be run by a joint venture or a battery company. It would be staffed by far fewer union workers who would be paid less than the $30 per hour that UAW members make on the assembly line, said the person, who didn't want to be identified because contract details are confidential. News and more next on Arbitrage Trade's State of the Bands Weekend. Stick around. Royce is here, I'm here, and so is a lot of stuff about heavy metal, healthcare, and walls. I don't think we're talking Pink Floyd. In this issue of State of the Bands, heavy metal, healthcare, and wall. What wall? Will there ever be a wall in this presidential term? This report concludes with a brief look at cryptocurrency advancements and how switching to a cryptocurrency gold standard may help the U.S. avoid a global recession. All this and more in the State of the Bands issue, available now at arbitragetrade.com. Now let's go to the president and CEO of Arbitrage Trade Analytics, Royce Wells, for more. Royce!
Hi, Josh.
What's up?
Oh, nothing much. We got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things culminating. In this issue, we got to cover a lot about gold and what's been going on with gold and who was the first person to actually say, hey, let's back our money, buy gold, right? Believe it or not, that was Great Britain, and they did that in 1821. So we're actually approaching the bicentennial of the first adoption of the gold standard. What that also means is a lot of people are looking back at gold to see, hey, was this a bad idea 200 years ago? Could we actually apply it more so now? Russia thinks so. They're actually trying to develop a cryptocurrency for their national currency that's 100% backed by gold, right? And while we are looking at all that, ever wonder why we left gold? The gold standard was left a couple of times in American history, one being 1971 when President Nixon said, yeah, get out of here. Inflation is way too high. We need to get rid of this. People weren't keeping enough gold on hand. And because of that, basically, people were reneging on their IOUs. People would say, they would go to the bank and say, give me 1 ounce of gold for my silver or gold certificate. And the bank was like, we don't have that in reserve, so we can't give that to you.
And you certainly can't do that anymore.
No, you can't. But did you know the only reason we were able to get out of the Great Depression, that was in 1928, was because we once again left that gold standard?
I was about to say, that was the other time we left the gold standard.
Yes, that was the other time we left, and that was once again, inflation was too high, and to get a handle on inflation, we decided to leave the gold standard. So what has me concerned right now is that the Federal Reserve, they keep cutting the interest rate. Look like we're having the opposite problem. So it's like we might be able to actually fix this problem by going to a gold standard. But I did a little bit more research. If we actually tried to back the US dollar by every ounce of gold, that for every dollar that was printed, we'd need to print close to 261 million ounces and have that in our reserves sitting in the bank somewhere. So a much better idea would be to do it with a cryptocurrency, so that way we both control the paper as well as the digital currency markets.
All of this and more in this month's Arbitrage Trade State of the Bands, available at arbitragetrade.com. Up next on State of the Bands Weekend, it's winners and losers and your market update. Stick around.
Powers Not Included, the comic book podcast. A podcast about comics, games, toys, and everything geek. They talk about Deadpool, Deathstroke, Deathlock, The Night of the Living Dead, and The Walking Dead. Why the fixation on dead stuff? Find out when you subscribe to Powers Not Included on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and Podbean.
Invest in stocks, ETFs, options, and cryptocurrencies, all commission-free, right from your phone or desktop. Access professional research reports, trade on margin, and make bigger instant deposits with Robinhood Gold, all starting at $5 a month. It only takes a few minutes to take control of your financial future. Sign up now to start investing with Robinhood at arbitragetrade.com/Robinhood.
See on page 4 that the projections need to be tornado next Thursday.
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day. I have no time for this. So.
I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
Hi, I'm Ronnie Dunn. Blood donations typically decline during the summer months when donors are busy out traveling. This summer, the American Red Cross is facing a critical shortage to our blood supply. The Red Cross depends on you to help provide blood for those in need. That's why I'm urging you to give blood this summer. All types are needed, but especially O negative. Please make an appointment today to give blood by calling 1-800-RED-CROSS or visit redcrossblood.org.
Welcome, traders, to your winners and losers for September. Up first is a pharmaceutical company that operates as a biopharmaceutical focused on the development and commercialization of medicines to address unmet medical needs in central nervous system or CNS disorders. It operates through development and commercialization of innovative medicine segment. Headquartered in San Diego, California, and up 47% this month is Acadia Pharmaceuticals. Stock symbol is ACAD, and at the time of the recording opens at $37.48 a share. Your next winner acquires, finances, operates, and sells real estate and real estate assets. Its projects include office buildings, golf courses, residential apartments. Company was founded in 1999, is headquartered in Dallas, Texas. Up 36% this month is American Realty Investors, symbol ARL, starting the day at $15.80 a share. Headquartered in Woburn, Massachusetts, this clinical stage biotechnology company, up 45% this month, engages in the development of oncolytic immunotherapy product candidates. Oncolytic immunotherapy is a cancer treatment that exploits the ability of certain viruses to selectively replicate in and direct kill tumors, as well as induce a potent patient-specific anti-tumor immune response. Replimune Group, symbol REPL, opens at $14 a share. Traders, our losers this month include two biopharmaceutical companies and a technology company. Our first loser, down 85%, is a biopharmaceutical company which engages in preclinical and clinical development of product candidates. The company focuses on developing a product platform based on a drug candidate called bryostatin for the treatment of Alzheimer's disease. It also develops bryostatin for other neurodegenerative or cognitive diseases and dysfunctions such as Fragile S or Niemann-Pick type C. Was founded in 2011 and is headquartered in New York. The company name is Neurotrope Incorporated. Neurotrope Incorporated, symbol NTRP. Symbol NTRP starts the day at 82 cents a share. Next up is a company that is also a clinical stage pharmaceutical company focused on the discovery, development, and manufacturing scale up of complex and innovative treatments for patients battling cancer and other life-threatening diseases. The proprietary nanotechnology platform is currently centered around the enhanced delivery of a variety of drugs using novel liposomal encapsulation technology. Liposomal encapsulation has been extensively explored and undergone significant technical and commercial advances since it was first developed. The lead drug product candidate in pipeline is Docet Plus, being developed in the U.S., based in Austin, Texas. Your next loser, PSTV, down 83% this month, is Plus Therapeutics Incorporated. It starts the day at $3.56 a share. Winners and losers is provided for informational purposes only and does not constitute advice in trading. Percentages and stock prices were current as of time of recording. Arbitrage Trade Analytics LLC is solely responsible for the content of this podcast, but you should seek out the assistance of a licensed professional for investment advice. We'll be right back with your market update on State of the Bands weekend. Stick around. I promise you it's going to be fun.
I'm Jessica Alba.
I'm Star Jones. We are Americans. We are all created equal.
We all have an equal voice in the voting booth.
That's what makes America great.
That's what makes America great.
Your vote, my vote, his vote, her vote, all equal.
Go to apvote.org to get all the information you need to prepare yourself to vote.
Hey, it's Josh. You know we talk about some of the tools we have here at Arbitrage Trade, and one of the most essential tools we use is TradingView. TradingView is fast becoming one of the most popular charting tools in the industry. With its easy-to-use drawing tools, indicators, and social network integration, traders have a complete set of tools to perform technical analysis and share ideas. We use TradingView's indicators as part of the arbitrage system, and you can too at arbitragetrade.com/TradingView. Welcome back to this time's Arbitrage Trade State of the Bands Weekend. My name's Josh, and to my right is Mr. Royce Wells. He's founder and CEO of Arbitrage Trade, and we're talking about the Affordable Care Act. Royce?
The Affordable Health Care Act was actually a really good idea in its inception. It was first incepted in, I believe, 2010. And there were two distinct versions, one from the House and one from the Senate. And basically from that, both agreed that in order for it to work at all, there had to be a mandated penalty. That way everyone was forced to participate, so that way they could make it affordable for everyone. Unfortunately, that turned out to be a very bad thing in the end. Because right now, this is about 9 years later, insurance premiums have actually quadrupled in that time frame. But luckily and fortunately, in December of 2017, President Trump actually made a comprehensive tax bill that effectively repealed the penalty. So that way they made the penalty zero. So that way if you didn't have insurance, there would be no fine for not having it. That's great. But now because of that little piece and that mandate that they added to the Affordable Health Care Act, they're actually voting on is the whole act unconstitutional, which means they can actually repeal the whole thing. And I believe it was in Texas in July that they had to actually are voting on, is it unconstitutional to actually have a penalty on your healthcare insurance? Can you force people to pay something or not? The problem is, if they do find that it is unconstitutional, that means close to 32 million Americans will be without insurance, again, because of pre-existing conditions, and the insurance companies can once again refuse them.
But the whole point behind the penalty was to get Americans to get the insurance, right?
Yes. The other part of the Affordable Health Care Act actually was for the baby boomers. There are a ton of people who are retiring who are depending on Social Security to pay their bills. While Social Security was set up to actually help them, take care of living expenses once they're older, it's not enough to actually cover their medical expenses. And typically the biggest bill that people who are becoming senior citizens have is their medical insurance. On average, if you're on Social Security, the maximum you can get out of Social Security is roughly, I want to say, about $30K a year. And that's if you had the absolute best job. Most people didn't have the absolute best job, so they're probably living on close to $800 a month, which is less than $12,000 a year.
I was about to say that's basically the median amount for the best jobs, like CEOs, people like that, and most people are living on $800 a month. That's insane.
And trying to pay for their apartments, pay for their cell phones, pay for their food. And that's why you have Medicare and Medicare Part B and D. But because of the Affordable Care Act, they actually put something in for Medicare Part D, which actually alleviates close to $3,800 per person who's a senior citizen from their medical expenses for just their prescription drugs. So that basically gives them back 20 to 30% of their income, if not 30 to 40% of their income, depending on what they're getting for Social Security. If they actually repeal this before 2020, a lot of baby boomers will be impacted.
And it's important to note that this isn't a partisan issue. It's not a Trump versus Obama issue. It's a person issue, right?
Yes, and as you can see, both sides actually, Obama put it in place, and then Trump repealed the penalty, so that way basically they're working together, but in different terms to actually try to make it where everyone can have it if they need it.
Find out more about the subjects that we talk about in Arbitrage Trade's State of the Bands. It's available at arbitragetrade.com. More with Royce and your market update coming up next on Arbitrage Trade State of the Band Weekend. Research, fundamental experience, technical analysis, statistical probability. It's what sets us apart and what will get you to stop watching and start living. Get started today at arbitragetrade.com. Hello traders, and welcome to your market update. Let's talk a little bit more about gold. We know that there are 3 gold standards: the full gold standard in 1821 from the United Kingdom, the gold exchange standard after World War I ended was implemented, and the international gold standard in 1958. However, we are under the U.S. dollar standard. It was implemented by President Nixon in 1971 due to an increased demand for gold be kept in reserve, among other contributing factors. One of these factors was that many countries reneged on their promise to honor certificates and IOUs. Fun fact, whale's teeth were used as the first IOU system and currency. Each tooth was about 8 inches long and 3 inches wide. Imagine putting that in your pocket. Since May of 2019, GDX has increased over 50% in value. The price of gold per ounce has gone from $1,280 to over $1,550 in over 3 months. Right now, globally, there is over 2.2 billion ounces of gold being demanded, and the supply is still being mined or recycled. The price of gold is rising, forcing investors to find alternative places to hide their money. In the short term, others are buying precious metals and looking to gold ETFs to find stability in the long term. Globally, India controls approximately 25% of the demand for gold. This demand is largely due to the expressive jewelry worn within their local ceremonies and festivals. The highest demand for gold is usually during the Diwali holiday season. Diwali, also known as the Festival of Lights, is celebrated in late October to early November. It celebrates the triumph of light over dark, good over evil, and blessings of victory, freedom, and enlightenment. Diwali is celebrated primarily in India and South Africa, but has also made its way into the parts of the United States. Speaking of gold, in June of this year, Russia announced that they would continue to explore the possibility of a gold-backed cryptocurrency. Russia's 7th State Duma, Vladimir Gutenev, proposed the creation of a digital asset tied to the value of gold. This would alleviate issues found in cryptocurrencies and offer something akin to a stable coin. Meanwhile, in the United States, speculation on returning to a gold standard is now in debate. For example, if the United States returned to a gold-backed standard, it has been hypothesized that $2.7 trillion would have to be backed 1-to-1 with an ounce of gold, which calculates to almost 261 million ounces of gold that would need to be held in reserve by the U.S. government. This would take the price of gold to nearly $10,000 per ounce and could result in heavy inflation and tremendous damage to the global economy. Introducing a new gold standard, however, could and would force the United States to live within its means. Conversely, if the United States decided to be the first to adopt a cryptocurrency-backed gold standard, doing so would provide clear direction to the global economy, as well as allow it to maintain control of money in both paper and digital exchanges. As with any new endeavor, a digital gold currency involves substantial risk. However, many companies and countries are laying the foundation required because of the speculative upside that a global world currency would provide. One such pioneer is Keptis CMO Incorporated. It is based out of Melbourne, Florida, and issued its own digital currency, calling it Global Standard Gold, AUG, which is backed by physical gold and held in the trust, meaning it has the potential to be liquidated at market value at any time. Digital currency transactions occur over licensed financial institution once they have acquired the gold on the open market and deposited it into the trust. While most cryptocurrencies use a decentralized system like blockchain, Keptis uses a centralized one. This more conservative approach to digital currency has a lot of potential for continued success. Fun fact, Inuit Keptis is located on the back of every US dollar bill, and it means favor our undertakings. Up next, more from Arbitrage Trade's State of the Bands weekend. Stick around.
Every day, firefighters put on their boots and save lives in their community. Those same boots are also helping in the fight against muscular dystrophy. When you fill the boot for MDA, you're helping to save and improve lives of kids and adults fighting muscular dystrophy, ALS, and other diseases that limit muscle strength and mobility. Fill the boot for MDA.
We're back with Royce Wells, founder and CEO of Arbitrage Trade. Royce, it's time to rock and roll, right?
Yes, absolutely. And may as well get out there and do it before it's too late.
What do you mean? Hold up.
The heart of rock and roll is dying, Josh.
The heart of rock and roll is a beating. That's what Huey Lewis said.
Yes, and we need the music. We need the golden age of music. Most people who are alive do not realize this is the golden age. This is our renaissance. There are so many people from the 60s and 70s that created the culture, the music, the texture, even though for the people who listen to lots of metal and harder rock. But the sad thing is, or actually it's not sad, it's actually kind of gracious. A lot of these guys, they've been touring for close to 50 years.
We're talking about Rolling Stones, of course.
Yeah, and Aerosmith, and Neil Diamond, and Bob Seger, and Paul Simon. I mean,
Paul Simon's not rock and roll, dude.
Hey, he contributed. He counts.
Okay.
Now, you're going to say the Beatles aren't rock and roll?
I did not say the Beatles are not rock and roll. Do not quote me on that.
I think it's a little too late for that, Josh.
Darn it.
I'm just saying, there are a lot of musicians, even Motley Crue and Ozzy, you know, they like to come up with fancy names for their farewell tour.
Hasn't Ozzy had like 5 farewell tours at this point?
And that's the running joke. It's like, so, are you really retiring? Notice I didn't say Kiss, although Kiss is saying that this is their final tour. We shall see. I did find out something cool. I didn't realize Madison Square Garden actually has a stock ticker.
That's correct. What's that symbol?
MSG.
No kidding.
Yes, sir.
I was wondering how we were going to get this back to arbitrage.
Hey, this is all about going to see the music. That's my tip this month. Actually, it's not an indicator. It's go listen to the music. Go out there, see these guys. They're saying their goodbyes. They're showing their appreciation for you. So go see them and show your love. And that's all I got, Josh.
No stock tip, huh?
The heart of rock and roll will beat on.
And Royce, speaking of heavy metal that's not Ozzy, what about the wall?
If you're talking about the wall between Mexico and the United States, it is definitely still in the works. A part of what makes the wall interesting is what's been going on with American steel and steel in general. Across the world, not just in the United States, steel production has ramped up tremendously, but there has been no apparent or obvious reason for it. So supply has gone up and demand is basically still the same. So that's caused the price of steel to go from close to $40, the U.S. symbol X, to go from $40 a share all the way down to roughly $11 a share. While this is a great opportunity for people who want to invest in steel, this is a little bit scary because why has last time this happened? World War II. What got us out of the Great Depression? We went to war. They started building tanks. They started building all these things. So the sudden influx for more steel is slightly frightening, but there's also additional benefits from all that steel. So you asked about the wall. So President Trump originally had secured about, I want to say, $2.6 billion to begin construction on the wall. And I believe Defense Secretary Mark Esper actually approved and authorized the U.S. to actually begin building about 20 miles worth of that wall along the border earlier this year. But since the price of steel has fallen by 75%, we can actually build about 100 miles with the $2.6 billion that they have secured. The fact that the price has gone down makes it a whole lot easier for us to build that wall.
Well, Royce, we've hit a wall. Join us next time on Arbitrage Trade's State of the Bands. Don't forget to tell your friends about us. We are on just about every streaming platform you can think of as Arbitrage Trade. Don't forget about State of the Bands Daily coming up.
Arbitrage Trade Analytics, LLC, is a privately held market research company. Arbitrage Trade Analytics, LLC, is solely responsible for the preparation and distribution of the content of this podcast. The opinions offered in this podcast are for informational purposes only and are not intended to be investment advice. Seek a duly licensed professional for investment advice. For more information about the informational research and services offered by Arbitrage Trade Analytics, LLC, please visit arbitrage arbitragetrade.com.